Hey everybody, Jesse here at Fantasy Customs. We've got another day for you and another part 2 of this, what I believe is going to be a 4-part video, maybe 5, I'm not really sure. What's going to be a multiple part video on this particular bike, which is a 2013 ABS 1000. This is like basically a crotch rocket, but a little different. So in the first video you saw, we stripped all the plastics off and took the passenger seat and rearmost subframe apart, and we're planning on turning it into a one-seater. And okay, I've come up with this little drawing here of the tail. This is looking from the back at seat level. The red part is obviously the brake light, and then the very topmost grayish black part is the seat, the big one. The big part is the seat, and then we come down from there. We have the topmost part of the tail, and you can see right here there's two little ovals. Those represent the bolts that will hold the top of the tail through the holes in the back of the seat that mount the seat and hold the seat down, and those bolts will go through there down to the bottom part of the tail, where they will thread into the bottom part of the tail and hold everything together. You can see the separation of the top and bottom of the heavy black line, and then on both sides here there's those oval parts are the existing subframe where the bottom part of the tail will bolt in. So the bottom part of the tail will hold the ECU and brake light. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have planned out for it. This is looking straight down from the top. You can see the seat penciled in, and then this is only looking at the top portion of the tail. That will be the only visible part, is the top. You can see both of the circles there represent the bolts that will hold everything down from the top of the tail through the seat to the bottom of the tail. The back here, worst case scenario, it's this bigger dashed line that goes straight across, and it will be very boxy. I don't want that. I'm going to cut this small dotted line to begin with and see how that looks. If I don't like that, then I will cut off a little bit and have it be the solid line with some curvature and some straight part. So that is my plan so far, and normally I don't draw things out, because once I've drawn things and I try and stick to them, it makes things much more complicated. When a problem arises, it takes me longer to figure out how I can get around that problem, rather than just changing my design to fit the bike. Designing this tail piece through my head in a drawing, and then trying to make that tail piece fit the bike. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but it's definitely much more complicated to come up with a drawing and say that's what I'm going to build, rather than me just cutting out pieces of metal and fitting, cutting them to the bike and making it up as I go along. That way I have creative control to change things to make it easier on myself. So this is going to be quite the build, quite complicated, and that's just the way things are. When you want a certain desired outcome, it's going to come with a lot more struggle to get there usually. If you're just making things up as you go along, you can go with the flow, and things will be much easier, much quicker, and depending, you can end up with something even better looking, or maybe it doesn't look as good as this if you're just going with the flow and making whatever. But anyways, this is the plan of what the tail is going to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to make some kind of a mock-up cardboard mold now, and that way I can get a good template to cut metal out. Okay, so this may look a little crude, but it just serves its purpose for mock-up. So it's easily foldable, so instead of building something full size out of metal and having trouble building the whole thing, I just built it out of cardboard first. I guess I will, I'll get this taped up so that you can see it a little bit better now that I'm sure that's what I want. And I didn't tape it up because I want to lay it flat. And so what I do, since I'm going to make it out of aluminum, is I've laid it flat here and made sure that this was symmetrical on both sides and that all the measurements are the same and everything's good, so it's going to fit nicely. And this was kind of like that, a little bit of a test fitment. This is going to obviously need some filing and finessing to fit that brake light nice and snugly. But as you can see, this is my center line. So mirrored on both sides. And these smaller dashed lines, there's 4 of them. Those are all going to be parts where there's a bend in the metal. And so all these flaps will fold up and be welded at each one of the corners, and that'll create the bottommost piece of this tail that encapsulates the brake light, and it's going to hold the electronics, the ECU, and all that good stuff. So let me tape this piece up so that I can show you and get a little bit better idea myself of exactly how this is going to look. Okay, here we are for the mock-up. So this is the top, but this is what's going to hold the seat in and cover up everything that's inside of there, protect it. At this point, I'm already sort of thinking that these hard corners right here in the back are just something that I could live with it. I just feel like it's going against a little bit of the style of the bike. I don't think that every corner should be jagged like that, and so I'm thinking that I will try and round out both of these back corners, but that will conform to this then. I went back and forth between having it just bends, you know, hard bends right there and there for this top piece, or if I want it curved. I kind of like the idea of the hard bends. I think that's going to actually look kind of good. So I guess I need to basically get started on cutting this piece here. You can actually see that I didn't even think about taking the seat off, so that you can see in here what all we've got going on. I guess I'm going to go ahead and get this piece cut out on aluminum. Once that's cut, I'm going to try and cut out this brake light hole, because that's going to be probably one of the toughest parts about this, is just cutting that open. Not that the welding isn't probably a little bit more hard, but either way. After that's all done, then I will start bending it, and I'll probably bend the 2 sides first, and then I'll bend this, and then I'll bend this. You couldn't see it because I didn't show you, but I actually took just a teeny bit of this off to kind of match this angle, because basically, although that is more angled back this way, which is how I kind of want it, this, it looks like I didn't even really cut it enough now that I look at it, because this I almost wanted straight up and down. And that's not that big of a deal. I can change that at a later time actually. But as you can see, this comes right up here, and I need to make sure that I get enough, not that I can't, you know, add metal on to the edge here if I cut it out and it didn't have enough, but I need to make sure that I have good area to bolt this thing all together. In the end, I'm gonna go ahead and get this aluminum cut out. Okay, since I couldn't get the last thing to work, this is what I've devised for my second plan. I have no idea if it's going to work or not. I really need it to either work pretty much perfectly or stop before I mess it up and then have to start all over again, but I really only get one shot, so here goes nothing. I don't even know how I'm going to put pressure on it actually. I guess I need to get something. Hold on. Here he is. Both sides so far look identical. Everything looks really good. I don't know if I should bend the small side first or this side first. This side doesn't have to go as far. It's longer. But I don't really think it actually matters. We'll probably do this side first just because it's shorter, but it won't matter because I'll have the same distance here as here, and so this will have to be clamped as well as this, and this will have to be clamped as well as this. So it really doesn't matter which side I do first. So we'll be back. Okay, so I have the piece in here for the backside bend. This is where the brake light is. So this is the shorter piece that's in there that you won't be able to see. And I've already kind of known that I may have to come in here and trim this off about like just what I did with my finger right there. And on both sides, and actually bend this a little bit further than 90 degrees. I'm pretty sure that's gonna have to happen, but we'll see. So far I'll get it like this and I'll see where we're at that point. Okay, we've got it set up with a different piece in here. It's actually just a piece of wood because I had to have it the perfect length, but I think it's going to be okay. We'll find out really quick if it's not. Looks fine. I think it's okay. Alright, let's go. Still okay. We're fine. Not at a 90 yet, and we're bottoming out here into this guy. But that's no good. No go. We'll resituate. Alright, so that's what I was able to do with that so far. Alright, it's time to attempt to get that sit close to flush. Man, that stuff is so sharp and heavy. Alright, so let's go see what it looks like on the bike. Okay, so here we are sitting on the bike. And I'd like it to be somewhat level. It looks like it is. I've left these tabs on there for now. it does help me level it. Eventually the top of that will help me level it this way to that way. And then since it's straight, it also, you know, levels it flush front to back. So I've already decided when I had the box cut out up here, and like I said earlier, that I want to clearance this. This is approximately how it's going to sit right here. So I want this back piece to be bent straight up and down here flush with this, which means that I've got to take off, I don't know, maybe, well, I guess all I actually have to take off is to get it, you know, to get this back here. So I could do something like that. So I'll figure that out later, but basically how I'm gonna do this, if I can do it without setting you guys on a tripod, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set you guys on a tripod really quick. Alright, ladies and gents, because I didn't cut that off first, which I may have to do now, come in and cut that off. I wasn't able to bend it. You know, whenever you're bending metal, you have to actually bend past that, and then it'll come back and line up straight. So anyways, that's what I got right now. So I'm gonna take it over to the bike and see what we got going. Okay, ladies and gents, this is where we're at so far. I'm pretty happy with everything so far, besides that I do want to think about still rounding these corners off. Now that it's up there and in metal, I like it more than I did before. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead, and I know that everything is where I want it to be. I'm pretty sure at least. I'm going to look things over, and I'm going to start working on getting these holes drilled for the mounting bolts on both sides. It looks about where I want it. I'm thinking everything seems about right. I think before I did have it more like that. Or even more like that is how I had it before. Which is still possible. It's possible. That is more what I had planned. I think was something like this. So maybe a little bit higher up in the air like that. I like the way this looks so far, and obviously have to make this top piece still. But it looks like everything's fitting pretty well, and so far I do like what I'm seeing. So I think I'm going to continue on with this. I want these two little plastic pieces that are sticking out on. They're in my way. Okay, so we've got a tack there and a tack there, and we need to change the battery. It's touching right there to not let that there, and this side sits a hair lower, so that's got to be fixed. Otherwise, I'm loving it. That is what we're after right there. Right there, buddy. So, piece one. Okay, there's number two. Not sure how well you can see that. That's it, right there. So, these pieces are obviously for the edge. You know, I mean, it follows it good. So now we're gonna go from here to here. Last piece. Alright, we're going with that. Pretty decent, pretty close, pretty whatever. Pretty good. I'm happy with it. So we've got that. Somehow make that all work out. Alright. what we were after. So I think I'm gonna take care of those at a decent rate. Pretty much good to go. Okay guys, that wraps up this episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know I am. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. You can catch the next part, which you got a little preview of that. We're gonna be painting the tank and front fender. Part 4 is gonna be final assembly and wiring and taking care of all the little miscellaneous things. And then the final part 5 will be the build reveal, showing it all done, testing it out. And so yeah, I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. Stay tuned.